What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, and tonight I have a very special guest for you, Mauser Block overhead record holder, Steve Schmidt.
Ciao, homie.
Welcome back to My Block's Strongest Man, where we bring strongman into the mainstream by discussing all of the latest strongman events in the greatest analytic detail that you'll find anywhere on YouTube. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe to this channel. Make sure to comment below whether you agree or disagree with my videos. I love the engagement, and I respond to every single comment. Now on to today's topic. Hey, Steve, how are you? Thanks for joining me this evening.
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's very exciting for me. So, I became aware of you from Mammoth Strain Challenge, but we'll kind of get to that in a minute. Why don't we start off by, for people that don't know you and aren't aware of your accomplishments, kind of talk about some of your accomplishments, overhead pressing or otherwise.
I got it. I'm 45 now. I got into strongman pretty late, actually. I was around 30 and started competing and just worked my way up. Went to nationals and then made it to the Arnold. I was runner up there at the Arnold one year. And then that kind of got some shows that were like in other countries I went and did, and it just kind of progressed from there.
Awesome. And so, how did you first come across strongman? Like, how did you first become interested in strongman and got your attention?
Definitely when I was growing up, like seeing how most guys my age, how it was on ESPN,
Yep.
Especially Magnus for Magnuson, and watching guys like that when I was in my teens. But back then, there wasn't internet then or nothing. So you had no idea that there was small groups or nothing like that around back then. And, but I was lucky enough to live in Ohio, and I remember I was into bodybuilding right when I got out of high school. And I was totally different then. I weighed like 240 pounds. And I went to the Arnold that year me and my brother went for a couple of years for the bodybuilding show. And it just happened to be the first year they had the Arnold Strongman. I can't remember what year that was, but it was the early 2000s. And it blew me away. I remember Phil Pfister and Mark Henry were there. And I was like, now this is cool, And I had a lot of guys tell me when I was into bodybuilding, it was like, you're really built for strength sports and stuff. But I didn't come from that background. I played sports in high school, but nothing like as far as Highland Games or anything like that. And so I had always been picking up odd objects. I grew up on a farm. And when I watched Strongman, I was like, man, these guys are doing exactly what I'm doing every day, that sort of stuff. So I got real interested. And I don't know if it was at the Arnold or what, but I met Steve Slater. And we became friends really quick, and he's about 3 hours from me. And I just started going down there and hanging out with him and training, and he kind of showed me, hey, this is how you do it, and he had Atlas stones and stuff, of course. And I remember he had a Thomas inch dumbbell there, and the first time I could get a hold of it, I picked it up, and he was like, hey, yeah, you should probably do this. Grips a lot for strongman, especially back then. And so I just started doing small shows. In Ohio, there was, like, at that time, there was only a couple. It's nothing like nowadays, And I just really loved it and got into it. And of course, everyone knows the community of strongman, how great it is. My closest friends are the guys I've trained with and competed with, and over the years, we just you kind of share that bond and you get along so good,
Yeah, I think that kind of bleeds over just into the fans as well. Like, just before we got on, I just hit up Wyatt Dawson just to say hello, and he answers me back. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's the thing I love about it, and you see it time and time again. After this many years of being in it, it's still the same thing. Everybody's great, and it's just such a good community.
Yeah, you brought up Phil Pfister and Mark Henry. That brings back memories. I'm 45, so I used to watch it as well around Christmas time growing up. And Mariusz Pujanowski, Manfred Holbrol was really cool. He used to do the car carries, I believe.
Yeah.
And Phil Pfister. Yeah, he did. Didn't Phil Pfister, I think, one year, I know, like, he wasn't going to win, but, like, in the middle of a Hercules hold, he said, I'll be back one year and win this. Like, it was so
he did that famous prediction, yeah. And I mean, at the time, I can remember when Pfister won, it was so huge because there hadn't been an America. Like the Europeans just dominated it, for so long once Kaz was gone. And that's what me and my friends, and we're always watching those old ones. Like just last night, I was watching 1979. Like, I don't know why those just had something special. They're so cool. And it's at the beginning, and there's no like special bars or nothing. It's just kind of every event's half dangerous. And
yeah, and back then they came from all different disciplines too. They had shot put champions and all sorts of things. I mean, it's
a lot of football guys from America. It was really interesting to see all of them compete.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I watched them late night on YouTube myself as well. And if I had to ask you, what's an event they did back then that they don't do anymore that you would love to see come back?
Man, like, Moss Wrestling has kind of hit the scene here the last few years. And I don't know why, but there's something different about that one-on-one mano-a-mano thing. It's totally different than 3 or 4 people running down together in like a yoke or something. Like, I was watching last night Tug of War, and man, remember the sumo wrestling? That'd be pretty interesting too if they did that.
Yeah, there were a few of them where they say Kaz's opponents would just run out of the ring.
I think the car walk would be really cool too. Like that, they always had real cars at the older worlds, and you had to get in it. And the car flips; those were always cool, where you had to roll it over so many times and then run to the line.
Yep. Yeah, I like the tug. I'd like to see the tug of war come back for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed that.
That'd be pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah. Some of them, not at World's Strongest Man, but at other competitions, they had some that maybe were a little silly. I forget which competition it was, but there was like a potato sack race one year, and
yeah. I mean, the medleys were definitely crazy back then. It'd be like 10 to 15 implements in some of those old worlds. It was really light, but just crazy cardio.
Yeah. I mean, if you had to pick a greatest of all time, do you agree that it's Big Z, or do you have kind of a different perspective?
Probably, yeah. If I was picking the greatest of all time, I would definitely say him. But most motivational to me, I think, was Magnus for Magnuson. Just we were about the same height, and I started only in like the 240s, and he wasn't this giant 7 foot, 450 pound guy. Like, it was just amazing to see him, especially his deadlifts. He was always so strong, and he just wasn't the most imposing guy out there by how big he was. Just crazy strength though. He
was really cerebral too. I think his strategy was great.
Yeah. But yeah, I think definitely Z was just man. Whenever he needed to, he won the event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it was something that you didn't think he was very good at, he was gonna. If he had to do it, he was doing it.
Yeah. The other thing you mentioned about growing up on a farm and kind of picking up weird things as a child, I want to hear some more about that. Like, what's some, is it, hay bale type stuff, or what kind of things did you do?
Just growing up, like, my brother was 12 years older than me, and so he had a big advantage, strength-wise at the beginning. And I was always trying to show him up, like if we had to hook up a trailer or something to a tractor, and usually you got a jack there. Well, I didn't want to use the jack. I wanted to pick it up and hold it myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or if we were out in the field taking out fence posts or something, we was using a tractor. Like, I was for surely going to see if I could do it myself. Just stuff like that, And then there was always rocks, and you're always picking up odd, heavy stuff. It was more of just like, hey, Dad, look what I can do sort of deal,
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I've never competed, but I kind of have, on a way scaled down version, the same mindset. So during this whole situation we're in right now, I built an outdoor movie theater at the house to keep the kids occupied and, give them something to do. So I ordered some big massage chairs for outside. And they arrived, and of course I see them coming with UPS. They got 2 guys, they got the hand truck, And I say, challenge accepted. They're going to put it at the front door with 2 guys. I'm going to get it to the back by myself.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of how I came up with the logo for for my channel with the chair.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, like, I carried them all by myself, and I find that fun. Like another time I built a swing set in the backyard for the kids, and the instructions say, these steps, steps 2 through 6 require 3 guys because you got to hold the post up and do the bolts. And for me, I always tell the story. My rule of thumb is if it's 3 guys or less, it's by myself. More than 3, I'll call a friend.
Right. Yeah. I'm right there with you. That's how I think most guys, especially got into strongman. That's how it is, like if it says 2 or 3, well, I can do that myself.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So you mentioned that you are in Ohio. I'm interested to learn. Actually, my wife has some family out there near Cleveland, but for folks that have never been to Ohio before, or internationally or in other parts of the country that aren't familiar, tell me the best thing about Ohio culture.
Where I live is very rural, and farmlands, small towns, and the communities are really great. And also, it's got such a big history and strength. I mean, I know the first, I think, 1,000-pound squat ever happened was in Ohio. And I know Arnold, when he was asked about why Ohio, he said the people, like the fans, were just ecstatic over it. And that's how, if it's sports or whatever, it just seems like people really get behind it and get into it, no matter what it is. But the type of area I live in, it's just everybody helps everybody, sort of that type of community. And that's what I think of when I think about Ohio, is that, a lot of hardworking blue collar people, at least in the area I'm from.
Yeah. So the Arnold's is Columbus, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for folks that don't know, the way it works is Arnold has a bunch of qualifiers all over the world, right? And then the big show is in Columbus.
Yeah. That's like the main championship one. Yeah. So that was really great having that. I mean, it was only an hour and a half away. And then once Dion had the top guys at nationals, I think it used to be just the top 10 overall, or maybe the top 15 got to go. And, that was such a huge thing. And it was only like an hour and a half away. So it was just awesome to get the opportunity after going and watching it for so many years, and then to get to go compete. It was just, it was unbelievable for me. This whole journey's kind of been like a dream of watching it and then getting to do it.
Yeah. Did you compete there as a pro or an amateur?
No, as an amateur 4 times, I think, maybe 5, but I think 4 times.
Okay, cool. And what were the events like at the Arnold's?
They were always the heaviest as far as anything you were going to run into as an amateur. They were just a tad off of our log for reps, I think one year was 335, and deadlifts were always in the 700 plus range for reps. And so it was usually guaranteed to be, very, very heavy. And even the medleys would be very heavy. You might have a 900 yoke in the middle of a 2 or 3 medley thing.
You ever do one of those crazy events like the Conan's Wheel or anything like that?
Yeah, well, I did those in different shows and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was always one of the worst ones for me, I think, because, you're holding it. It's just so painful. You're fighting, passing out. It was always a grueling event. Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. Yeah. How do you even train for something like that? Because I would assume people don't have one of those in their gym.
Really, I just started buying a lot of the stuff. And if I had a friend that was a fabricator, have him make it. And the guys that I hang out with, they're such a good group of guys that usually we'll be like, hey, let's try to go in and get this. So everybody goes in to get it, But over the years, I just collected it, and it used to sit outside until I could put up a building. And then once we got the building, it was just but if you want to be good at it, you literally have to have it. It's not if Conan's Wheels at nationals that year, you wanted to have one to train for it. You know what I mean?
Okay. Interesting. So I was just wondering, a lot of strongmen have kind of a quote unquote day job. Are you totally focused on training, or do you work
No, over the years, I've always had to work. And it was different jobs. And right when I was doing really good and getting international shows and stuff, I've always had some blood issues with blood clots and stuff all my life, since my 20s. And it wasn't until I was I think 38 or so did they come up with a test, and I got tested that I had too many red blood cells. My body just created them on their own. And so that really kind of knocked me back at that point. But no, there was a couple years there where I was working a 60, 70 hour a week job. And
wow.
You can imagine training, for me at least, really fell off. It was totally different just going to the gym and trying to get a few things in compared to where if I had it set up in years prior where I was real competitive, where, I would work, but then I would have an hour off, then eat, then have 2 or 3 hours to train, like it definitely for me mattered. Now, luckily, last year I started to go full time with training clients. And right now that's paying all the bills. I'm very thankful for that. And getting to be around, people in the gym is just like a dream job for me. So I'm really enjoying it. And that's letting me get the training in, because just like the block, like once I got back to having, being able to eat when I needed to, and being able to train as long as I wanted to, and not having like a deadline time for it. Like before the Mammoth, I did like an 8-week kind of peak because I wanted to see where I was. And then I would have another 8 or 10 weeks before the show.
Okay.
And I worked up and I hit a 370 in training, and it was fairly easy. And I was like, wow, okay. So if I back off and then work back up, I think I might be able to go for a 380 or 390 and dream of maybe a 400. But then I had a fracture in my elbow. So I couldn't train nothing at all. Yeah. So I didn't even think I'd be able to do the show. But that's just the difference between working a lot, at least for me, where I was really working a ton of hours, and then now being able to work, 8 or so hours, or I might be in the gym off and on all day. But, it's like what they say, man, if you love what you're doing, it's so different. Like it's totally different grinding in a job that I couldn't stand compared to now doing something I really love. It's just, you could hang out all day there,
Yeah.
It's a totally different thing.
For sure. So, like, when you're training clients, do they have, like, what are their goals usually? Are there kind of different sets of goals, and how do you?
Yeah, but almost like I have a few people that are want to compete and things like that. But like, no, 90% of them are regular people wanting to just build muscle, lose weight. Most people have, and I didn't too. When I started in my 20s, I can remember just no idea what to do, and that's how most people that come to me are. They're like, "Hey, I want to work out. I don't know how to." And there's a decent amount of kids I train from like 11 up to 18, like in sports, football players, baseball. I even had, some soccer kids and stuff, just somebody looking for somebody to kind of guide them through.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, most people are just 100% regular people. Like, so a lot of them have never been in a gym before. And it's worked out good. Got a private area and everything. So
I've learned a ton about your background, your pressing pedigree, some training tips. I got a lot of great stuff out of this wonderful conversation we've had together, and so grateful that you made the time to hop on. Why don't you take this time now to kind of tell people how they can follow you and anything you'd like to promote? I don't know if you're sponsored at all, but feel free to promote whatever you like.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sponsored by Ragnarok Strength Equipment. As far as I have an Instagram and a Facebook. I try to post here and there on there, but I'm not on there a tremendous amount. But that's about it for me, really.
Awesome. The same Ragnarok that sponsors Corey Butler?
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, I had her on. She was really cool. Great conversation with her as well. Yeah,
it was really cool. I knew her, and some of those people I know because they're sponsored by them also. So, we've got a social media chat, but again, with my age, I'm not on there very much. But I see them. So it was really cool to put her face to her name and to get to see her. Man, she smoked the axle there. That was really cool to see. So yeah, it was really nice meeting her finally in person there.
Yeah, I think that one was an SC record, and she's going for the world record at Clash at the Coast in May.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
So that's really cool. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, that sounds great. Thanks again, Steve, for jumping on. I really, really appreciate it. And hopefully we catch up after Magnus's competition again. What do you think?
Definitely. Yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. All right. Have a great night, brother.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So if you like this video and haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing using that button right there. And also stay tuned for some other videos that you might love blooping up right there. This one is the one that YouTube thinks that you will like the best, and this one is the one that I think you will like the best. As always, share this with everyone, and until next time, ciao, homie.